Can we just have a bit of silence, please, to see what's going on?
Okay. Right. Excuse me, sir, do you mind coming to that end? Because you're sort of sticking out a wee bit. So would you mind just going slightly behind that gentleman there?
Excuse me, once he takes the picture, just stay in the same position so I can get a picture.
So a bit tight. Right, everyone, okay? Sorry. That's lovely. Everyone straight into the camera, please. Lovely. And again, like that. Could we all just sort of just show your arms, please, guys? Don't hide your faces, young lady. Okay. That's lovely. Excellent. And okay, everyone, this time, ladies. Gentlemen. Okay, everyone. Look at this camera. Come a bit higher. In a bit. Stand here. In a bit tighter. That's it. No. Go back. There. Hold it there. That's fine. Right, everyone. Straight into this camera, please. Lovely. And again like that. Okay. Excellent. Do you want the ladies on?
Can we get all the ladies in?
Ladies, there's a couple more over this side, ladies. Come over here. Gents, can you just come back a little bit, please? Gentlemen.
Then if you can go a little bit more back, so then
Gents, come back.
Excuse me, sir. Can you just come back a little bit? Thank you. Right, everyone. Okay, let's make sure we see everyone. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Looking straight up this way.
Look this way.
And again. Lovely, thank you.
Many forms. A true Hindu will always respect people from any background, from any culture, any gender, and we respect each other as our own family member. There is a wonderful book.
But when you look at us in uniform, you think maybe sometimes that's a hard message to convey. But when you look back to the Mahabharata, Krishna explained that in order to fight, you need to respect the people you are going to fight. So everybody has a lesson to learn, and everybody has a lesson to give. The Duke of Wellington, when he fought against Napoleon in Waterloo, is said to have learned all his military tactics while fighting in India. So just a little bit about me. That's me at my graduation parade 10 years ago, almost to the day. I was born and brought up in Birmingham. My grandparents are from Gujarat. My dad was born in Kenya. My mom was born in Uganda, and they came over here. After I finished my education, I was deciding what to do, and my other ones, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But our main job really is to support the Hindu personnel. That's number one. Number two is helping the commanders of the Hindu personnel support them as well. So sometimes we'll have someone phone up and say, just like Acharyaji said, that there's someone here who wants to wear a rakhi, or there's someone who wants to grow their hair for a specific religious purpose, or anything in that vein, births, deaths. So we try and help with that, and luckily we have Acharyaji to help us do that. So here you can see the different Raksha Bandhan events we've done. So top left is Birmingham, Bolton, that's the Swaminarayan Mandir in London. The bottom right is Bolton, and in main building, yes. Bottom right is the main building, and we had Lord Earl Howe, so Minister Lord of the Armed Forces and Deputy Speaker of the House, and we did a small Raksha Bandhan function in there. So you can see that although we may be little in number, we have high influence. The other thing that we've done a few years ago, so this is a murti from Birmingham, from the Sri Gita Bhavan Mandir in Birmingham, and you might not see it, but there's a bit of damage on the murti, on the idol, and as we know, well, you may not know, that we cannot just throw it away. We have to dispose of it in running water, running fresh water where it can't be retrieved. So they asked the Indian Navy, and this is one of their ships, I was docked at the time, and they said, what do you do with your murtis? And they said, we don't do anything with the murtis, we don't do anything religious. So they came to us, and we went to the Navy and said, can we do this? And they provided a ship for us, the RFA Wave Ruler. And this is what we did. We went out past Portsmouth and we submerged the murti out there where it cannot be retrieved, flowing fresh water. Everybody here, military and non-military, should recognise all those words. They are the basics that we learn when we first join the military, and for the Hindus, this is also the basics that we learn when we come to the mandir. And you can see they all come under one word, dharma, duty. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about Hindus and Indians in the past, and how numerous we were in the military. So you can see there on the left-hand side, I'm in the RAF, so I decided to pick someone from the RAF, and that is Indralal Roy, also known as Laddie Roy. He was only 18. He joined the Royal Flying Corps, which later became the RAF. He was educated in England, joined the Royal Flying Corps and the RAF later on, and he was the first person from Indian origin to receive the Distinguished Flying Cross, a very high honour in the RAF. And he did this by, in over 10 days, he took to the skies once, twice, 3 times a day, and protected the skies over England. In the First World War, there was about 1.3 million Indians in the military, and about half of those were Hindu, and other half roughly were Sikh and Muslim. And obviously this was before partition, so it was all one country. And of all the Indians who fought in the First World War, we won 13,000 medals and 11 Victoria Crosses. And when you look at where we fought in the world, so mostly, we fought a little bit in Europe, but mostly on the other side of the world. So Mesopotamia, Egypt, Mesopotamia is sort of modern day Iraq, Egypt as well. And we fought all the way to the end in France, so the Battle of the Somme. Most of the fighting from the Indian Army was done in Mesopotamia, and that's when we won most of the Victoria Crosses. If anybody doesn't know, the Victoria Cross is the highest honour you can give to a person in the military. In World War II, we had even more people fighting from India. So altogether there was about 5 million Commonwealth soldiers. Half of those, so 2.5 million, were from India, and half again were Hindu. So that's 1.25 million people who fought for us in the Second World War. The Indian Army was the largest volunteer army in the world. And they worked everywhere from, like I said, in the RAF, they worked, sometimes they worked in separate regiments, sometimes they worked together with the British Armed Forces, and they also worked on the sea in merchant ships, protecting all the shipping lanes. They also, in this country, they were the wardens. They worked as the wardens to protect as a home guard. And there are lots of memorials to the Hindus. So this one is in Passchendaele, and you can see there the names of all the Indian soldiers. In this country, we have in Brighton, there's the Jhatri Memorial, which in Brighton, what happened was, as Indian soldiers were getting injured, they were being sent to France. France could no longer care for everybody. There was a lot of people coming over injured. And what happened was in Brighton and in the surrounding areas of Brighton, they set up hospitals. So this hospital was the Brighton Pavilion, and it got transferred, it got made into a hospital. And this memorial here, the Jhatri Memorial, celebrates those who came over and also commemorates the 54 Hindus and Sikhs who died in the hospital. It's a beautiful place to go to if you ever have the chance. So, if we go on to modern day then, we have about 150,000 or so military, and of those we have about 1,250 Hindus. So that's 0.8% of the military. And the Navy is about 20, Army over 1,000, and in the Air Force about 40. When you look at those numbers, you think they're quite low in comparison. But when you look at the other faiths, for example, Sikhs, there's about 170 Sikhs, about 520 Muslims, about 860 Buddhists, and about 80 Jewish. So, although our numbers are quite low, in comparison, they're not so bad. But one of the reasons why we do this tour is to just educate people on the contribution the Hindus made to the British, to the British Isles, and to the Commonwealth as a whole. This is a picture from one of our other Raksha Bandhan, I think that's in London, in the Neasden Mandir. So that's about the Hindu network. Thank you for listening. I hope you've learned something and you can take something away from this.
Thank you very much indeed, Shamirji. He just been recently retired, but served for how many years?
28 years. 28 years. Dr. Pani was serving, and he was full colonel there, and makes us so proud. And when I found out from about him that yes, he's based in North Yorkshire, and I was dying to meet him when I was appointed in 1986, and I'm just about to retire or something. It was not fair.
So, I decided it. No, when Achaji rang me, he was in Newcastle, he was a priest there. I was in Catterick at the moment. We had a hospital in Catterick, and from there we went on to Fridays. One day I had a call from him saying that I wish to join the army. What do you think? I said, that's the best thing you can ever do. That's the best thing you can ever do, because you'll have such great fun. You'll go get trained in Sandhurst for 6 weeks, which is great fun itself. And then you'll be well looked after. And later on found out he is working in the main building, which for the other army people, it's a, you know, you can't not being there at all. So anyway, I joined the army in 1982 because they were, as usual, short of doctors. And my specialism is anesthesia. So we go with the surgeon in the front line. So 82, because it was the height of Cold War or coming down of the Cold War, I don't know. We were in the middle of the Cold War and posted in Germany in a big way. We had 5 military hospitals in Germany, including Berlin, Hanover, and other places. I worked in all 5 of them, and we had a great time. And the unity and the friendship and everything was great. And the mess life was brilliant, because we were away from home, so it was quite relaxed. And so eventually I went to the second Gulf War. First Gulf War I was at Berlin, because when you mobilize people for war, if you're taken away from one place, someone has to fill that place. Because I was a doctor, anesthetist, I was only one person in Berlin, so they couldn't replace me. As another gentleman said, oh no, that wasn't it. I was watching chess this evening. One fellow was in the army. I said, which was the best posting you had? He said, he said Berlin, before the wall came down. So I was at Berlin before the wall came down. And we can see the change, because I was watching the East German news, Monica and other people. And it suddenly happened. And the first thing I saw was, in front of my house, a Trabant was, you know, driving past. And that was a great moment for the Germans and, you know, unity and all the thing that happened. And subsequently, after touring other hospitals in Germany, I returned to London. We had a big hospital in London. One of the things it happened to me all the time. All the 5 hospitals in Germany closed. So I was in all of them. So as soon as I went, it started closing down. Then we came to London. We had a big hospital in Woolwich. And that closed down after 3 months. Because they wanted to build some big hospital in London near Hyde Park and all that. But, you know, they won't let us do that. And then I came to Catterick. That closed down as well. So you just, I don't know, but such has been my travel, and I've been retired since 2012. I served, army people can serve, army medics can serve up to the age of 60. Because I liked it so much, I said, can I have another 2-year extension? And they said, we'll think about it. Then I knew what the kind of words to use. Comparing myself to the civilians, equality, diversity and all that. And went up to the MOD and they said, okay, there was another Iraq, second war was going on. They said, okay, they granted me 2 years. And then I wanted to extend for another 2 years. Then I rang MOD, because it's innate, you can't go beyond 55 for infantry people, for medics, because again, supply and demand situation. And at the age of 62, I said, can I stay for some more years? And They said, then I was making a bit of noise. I said, because I was a full colonel, say, you can use a bit of pressure. I tried that with Glasgow. And one desk officer, very nice lady, she said, Colonel, with due respect to you, we love your enthusiasm, but don't forget it is not your right. What we call it is a grace. If Her Majesty graces, she may extend. I said, oh, thank you very much. I have to modify my language. And after that, they said, yes, we'll extend you by 1 year, take a year at a time. My ambition was to retire at the age of 65 in the army. But my first, after that, the paperwork I was going through, they said, you'll be posted to Afghanistan. I said, what? 62, Afghanistan? It's a young man's game. And I said, okay. And then I went for kind of training. And then the amount of gear we have to wear, when you go to Afghanistan, with a body armor, a helmet. Usually officers don't carry a rifle, only a pistol. Here nowadays you have to carry a rifle and a pistol, and morphine, and everything. And after wearing that, I couldn't even get up. So I couldn't even get up. I said, what am I going to do? Because army is always up and down, running around. So I said, thank you very much. It's time is up. So after that, I worked in NHS for another 3 years. And went beyond 65, 66. And then 65, your state pension kicks in, the army pension, some more money from the NHS. I said no, because I end up being like a Russian, working for the state, because half my money goes into the taxes. So I hope Acharya is a great man, and he travels very widely and well respected, and he is our leader, and he has represented army extremely well, and all this brainchild, all these ideas has gone through. Before we never had anything. I was in the army 28 years. We never had anything. And thanks to the Gurkhas, because they were majority of Hindus, and then it spun out from there. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you very, very much indeed. You are always
welcome to one and all on this auspicious day of celebrating Raksha Bandhan with the armed forces. I, as an ex-army officer's wife, welcome you all for this evening's dance recital by my students. First, they will be performing a song on Raksha Bandhan. It is a very, very old song from a movie which we chose to be apt for this evening. And most of you who are, I think, about 60 years will know the song. It is Bhaiya Mere. Most of you will know it. I think this crowd here is saying yes, yes, yes. So they will be knowing it. So I have choreographed for that song for this evening specially. And that will be followed by Maitrin Bachata. This song is a beautiful song, and it is very unique for this day because it explains about Mother Earth. How Mother Earth gives us crops, tree, fruits, and everything which we need to survive. And as the song goes on, it talks about the 5 elements without which we cannot live. We need fire, we need water, we need earth, space, wind, everything. So without these, nothing can be cultivated. And on this auspicious day, my students will perform for another last piece. It is also a very pure classical, semi-classical from a Bollywood movie. Madhuban Mein. Sorry, I just forgot. Madhuban Mein, I'm too busy. My mind is working for tomorrow's program. So, Madhuban Mein Radhika. So I hope you all enjoy this evening's recital and very good evening.
मेरे छोटी बहन को ना भुलाना मधुबन में राधिका नाचे रे मधुबन में राधिका नाचे रे गिरधर की मुरलिया बाजे गिरधर की मुरलिया बाजे मधुबन में राधिका नाचे रे पग में
The chief guest, Mr. Trevor Watson, who is representing Her Majesty the Queen, to come and say a few words, please.
Well, can I just say before I start on the few words I have prepared, what a fantastic evening it's been. I've never been to a Hindu temple before, or a ceremony. The speakers have been fantastic as well, very knowledgeable, lots of facts, really interesting, thoroughly enjoyed it. A little bit of background on the Lieutenancy. I'm a member of the North Yorkshire Lieutenancy. It's the largest county in the UK. We have a Lord Lieutenant, a Vice Lord Lieutenant, and a number of deputies. Unfortunately, our Lord Lieutenant, you may have heard on the national news, was killed tragically two months ago in a helicopter crash. So our Lord Lieutenant is no longer with us. There will be a new appointment prepared by the Queen shortly on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. So thank you very much for inviting me. It's been a really very informative evening. So it's an honour to be here today as Deputy Lieutenant of North Yorkshire, representing Her Majesty the Queen at your celebration of Armed Forces Raksha Bandhan Day, the Hindu festival that celebrates bonds of protection. I suppose I'm going to say a few things which have already been said relative to the Hindu nations' involvement with the British Armed Forces, but the Hindu community worldwide has a long and proud tradition of service within the United Kingdom Armed Forces stretching back many years. This is particularly poignant in 2018, as already been mentioned, as it marks the centenary of the closing stages of World War I, where 750,000 Hindus were deployed overseas in the British Army, earning 8 Victoria Crosses, the highest award of honour and gallantry in the British Armed Forces. British Hindus have a long history of contribution to UK defence, both military and civilian, and Raksha Bandhan is an opportunity to celebrate and emphasise their role and duty as UK Armed Forces Hindus to protect all civilians. Events like today remind us that defence and protection depend on more than money and muscle. It's about individual commitment, a willingness to take on responsibility for the well-being of others, and bringing the nation together. This is the principle we see today in the British Hindu community as we celebrate Raksha Bandhan this evening. Thank you very much.
I can now invite the Deputy Mayor of Stockton to come forward, please, and just say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to join in your celebrations and be part of this very special ceremony. The contribution that British Hindus have made to the UK is immense. Not only with the long history of the Gurkhas, who have one of the toughest recruitment processes in the world and served their part in the British Army for over 200 years, but also the individual Hindus who have joined the armed forces, including reservists and those who work for the MOD. The Mayor of Stockton-on-Tees Borough is unable to attend this tonight, but on her behalf and on behalf of all the people she represents as first citizen of the borough, that's of Stockton-on-Tees, I would like to thank those who are part of the Armed Forces and Ministry of Defence for keeping the citizens of the UK safe. Thank you for all that you have done and all that you continue to do.
now to Christian County to carry on the following program.
I know he hasn't prepared a speech, but I am going to call Colonel Andy to just come forward to just say a few words, because he deals with all the different nationalities and all faith backgrounds there. And so yes, so hand over to you.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure and delight to be here this evening. My role is really unusual within the armed forces because I'm responsible for how we engage across the northeastern Yorkshire so that your armed forces are better understood and more supported. And it takes me across all faiths and all walks of business, and it's a real pleasure to do this role and to be here this evening. Your armed forces across the northeast and Yorkshire cover all three services. The Royal Navy in Newcastle and Leeds, in HMS Calliope in Ceres, the Army based in Catterick with Army Reserve Centres across the northeastern Yorkshire, and in North Yorkshire itself with RAF Leaning, which has both regular and reserve contingents within it. We have a great tradition across northeastern Yorkshire in supporting the armed forces, and for decades and even today, about 17% of the armed forces' strength come from across the northeast and Yorkshire region. That is some tens of thousands of serving men and women. And we are all hugely proud to serve within your armed forces and to provide that protection that is in place for us all now and in the future. Krishna, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Amarjit ji is ready with tabla, but I think we can just play it with the arti there. Would be alright, sir. Yeah. No, we don't need Natasha Gana Chanti is for
Amarjit has come all the way from Newcastle. I think we should listen to 5 minutes. He loves this temple.
I'll sing some. all say? Yes. Is it heavy? There we go. That's more than enough for today.
We invite them. Premji and the committee has been very, very kind, and they are always very keen to help our armed forces members. They wanted to just give a special memento, but the thing is, we didn't have enough time there, so they wanted to give a very special, maybe next time, yeah? Next, no, not next year, but soon. We can't promise, but yeah. But we are grateful to you. That is your feeling, your respect towards our armed forces, that is more than enough, sir. So they wanted to just give a small token of some nice chocolates there. So yeah, there you go. If you can request all the members to come forward. Ashok ji you can start, and then Colonel and he can just start as well. So they can go. Please, sir, just take a small token from the society. Wow.
Okay, the rest of you just follow.
And then we will join the Aarti, and then we'll go to the feast. Thank you so much.
But let me just. Can I also request